Evening, everyone. Going to call tonight's meeting of the Wethersfield Planning and Zoning Commission to order. And first order of business, our clerk, Anthony Homicki, will call the roll.
Evening all. Attorney Hammer.
Here.
Mr. Lambruni.
Here.
I'm here. Mr. Brecklin.
Here.
Mr. Dean is not. Mr. Drake.
Here.
Mr. Edwards.
Here.
Commissioner Giaffrito.
Here.
Commissioner Roberts.
Here.
Mr. Orcolini.
Here.
Anna Laurie. Is not.
Okay, you got Paul Thompson, you mentioned not here.
Yeah, Paul Thompson, right.
Okay, so with Joe Ercolani, our alternate, sitting in, we'll have a full 9 members on everything tonight. There was one continued public hearing matter, 1780 Berlin Turnpike, special permit regarding signage. The applicant has sent an email to Mr. Elder this afternoon indicating that they would like to withdraw their application without prejudice. They're waiting for a lighting plan from the manufacturer that they don't have, and he says once they receive it, we will resubmit the full application with the lighting plan to the commission. Plus, I think there was also some other stuff we had asked for as well. So I don't think we need to take a formal vote or anything since it's their application and they can withdraw it. But why don't we just acknowledge that they're withdrawing their application without prejudice to reapply again, and therefore the matter will go off our agenda and will no longer be pending. Okay? All right, good on that. And then, so we have 2 matters left. Item 2.2 is a site plan application for 341 Jordan Lane. Item 3.1 is an 8-24 municipal improvement referral having to do with the schools project. And I'm going to ask for a motion to take the 8-24 referral first. Ms. Katz, who's the Director of Physical Services, I think, has a busy night with, among other things, the weather tonight probably, and we'd like to accommodate her to get her out first. So would somebody like to make a motion to take item 3.1 first?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you. If you'd like to come up to the podium and just identify yourself for the record.
Sally Katz, Director of Physical Services for the town of Wethersfield. As we get set, I am here to introduce this project to Planning and Zoning. This is a project that has been a number of years in the making. Back in the summer of 2025, when presented with a master plan, the town council had accepted the plan to group this is a master plan for the elementary schools, and so they agreed to accept the master plan, which shows to build a new school, a new elementary pre-K to 4 school on the northern side of the Keisha Farm property, to then utilize the existing Highcrest School as a swing school, to then renovate as new the Webb School to become a 5-6 school. And so that school would then accommodate all students, grades 5 and 6 from Wethersfield. When that school would reopen, Highcrest would become a swing school for Charles Wright. And that was the first referendum that the town council had adopted. On September 16th of 2025, the referendum took place and passed. What you have here is, well, first of all, you have from our town planner, the background and proposal for the 8-24, introducing you to this project in your packet. We understand that this is the first step of many for this project. I also should make a footnote that There is an advisory school building committee. However, at this point, the committee does not have a chairperson, which is why you get me tonight. In future meetings, I'm sure you will be seeing that person in addition to myself and other committee members. And so what you see here is the comprehensive plan for the Weathersfield Elementary Schools that was developed by TSKP Studio along with Downs Construction. The partnership between TSKP and Downs was important because Downs is currently involved in real-time projects. And so estimates and pricing were based on current work that is being done. And so to date, those were the numbers that we used for the estimate of this project. The project, it has moving along. We are currently in the process of vetting and interviewing architect candidates. So that has not yet happened. And so you will see here from there, trying to watch David's, from the comprehensive plan, as I said, it walks you through phases 1, 2, and 3, which is the building of the new school, the renovation of Webb, the renovation of Charles Wright. There is also the proposed down the line to have a second referendum in order to renovate Emerson Williams, and then Ann Hamner, don't know which one yet, goes first in that second phase, and then eventually to demolish the current Highcrest School, which is why if you see on the schedule, there is a value for demo of Highcrest. I should also note that the Connecticut Grants has awarded the project and has recognized the new school project and has also recognized the Webb project. And we have gotten our reimbursement rate for that. We have gotten the funding for that. It is currently available. It was all voted on at the last session. So those projects, we submitted our grant applications and they were accepted by the state. So.
And Sally, I'll just interject. Just thank you again for being here to present this and answer any questions. But for the commissioners that are aware, so the 8-24 requires that before the legislative body undertakes certain activities, it has to send the referral to this board for a review. And generally, the commission is supposed to look at its comprehensive plan and determine if those improvements support the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. And because this particular referendum includes the location of and construction of a new school, it absolutely meets the statutory requirements for an 8-24 review. But because the other schools and the referendum was done as a package where there's going to be significant rehabilitation and renovations of existing schools, I talked to Sally and I talked to Fred, and it makes sense to, for an 8-24 for the total investments being made because, the language in the statute does talk about substantially improving. And so many of these schools, although they exist, are going to be substantially improved, and therefore I suggest, the commission consider the entire 8-24, not only the construction of a new school.
It's the construction of the new one, it's the renovation and changes to Webb, and then it's the renovation of Wright, which are the ones that have been appropriated by the voters and that are before us tonight?
That is correct.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? Just out of curiosity, why is the school going to be demolished eventually?
The Highcrest School, as it stands now, has significant restrictions. The way that it was built at the time, it was built in a number of different pods. And so it has significant mechanical issues. It runs on, for example, in the summer, it runs on room air conditioners. It has multiple exterior doors. It's been reconfigured. It is not energy efficient. It has some limitations when it comes to being able to completely renovate it and utilize it. And so the current plan is we had to put in a demolition price. If the town chooses to in some way reutilize that building, that is an option to the town, but that's only after all of the schools have been renovated and the new school opens. But we had to put in for the total project, what would we do if we're building a new school? Because we were keeping the number of elementary schools the same.
So basically, at this point, the thought is that it's cheaper to demolish than to renovate it, right?
Yes. Unlike the other schools, which have significant infrastructure and structural value.
Okay, thank you.
Questions? Rich? On the right-hand side, it only shows cars leaving. Has that been,
That's the slide that's on the screen.
Yeah, the new high crest.
Yeah.
That was just a rendering. We had to put in a very schematic drawing. One of the ideas is to, and again, this was conceptual, to utilize both High Crest but also Collier and separate cars from buses, similar to what we did at the high school, so that you have an easing of a traffic pattern. And then while both schools would be utilized, staggering the old High Crest that's being used as swing school and the new school, so that it doesn't create a traffic jam on Highland.
yeah, I mean, that makes sense, because since the kids are not going to be walking to the swing school and nobody takes the bus anymore, you're going to have
Yeah.
basically 2 elementary schools worth of traffic in one
Right.
place.
And so what the conceptual plan is, you try to bring the new school out more towards Collier, you bring the old High Crest out more on High Crest toward Fox Hill, and so you're going in opposite directions.
I know this is still just a cartoon, what he had, but is there any reason it's not pushed farther back and to the right? Why you have it so close to the main roads?
Well, again.
I know,
yeah.
we're nowhere yet, but I'm just saying.
Perspective-wise, we had to look at wetlands. We also have to look at, right now, it may get pushed back more for safety
Yeah.
and safety and security improvements that need to be made since Sandy Hook. But again, this picture was technically a schematic of,
I guess, no, I'm good.
yeah,
Okay.
of
So
the
there's a lot of
massing.
discussion yet to wait.
Yeah, of the massing of the building.
But weren't we picking up some ball fields in the back? I thought.
We put in, there is room for a potential field. However, when it comes to the school construction grant, it deals with the school, the building.
Building only, okay.
But there is space in the back potentially, and again, these are just ideas that have been thrown out in
Right,
different
I
meetings.
remember
For
hearing that.
trails, for fields, for some type of agricultural connection to the school.
Right. Yep. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Rich?
I guess this is more just a process question than anything else, but all of the other times, it's come to us before the referendum is held. You know, here, we already had the referendum, the town council's already voted, it seems sort of superfluous.
I can't speak to previous operations.
So
They're-
that could very well be my mistake for not acknowledging or being aware that it needed to come to us first. I did look at the statute and the section that I noticed, it says is that notwithstanding, this is 8-24, notwithstanding the provisions of this section, a municipality may take final action approving an appropriation for any proposal prior to the approval of the proposal by the commission pursuant to this section. And so when I did hear about the referendum, I did say, well, they can appropriate the money, and it says that in 8-24, but they cannot take the action the way I read it. But yes, certainly, it would make sense logically that it come before this commission before the appropriation is made. And generally, I've talked to Sally and many people in town, I think a lot of the investments that the town council sees should be presented to a number of commissions and boards before they get to the point of appropriating money. Maybe a bigger conversation than just this one in particular, but good point.
What do you think the rough timing might be in terms of when the last two schools could be in front of us for a 8-24 referral? Do you have any sense?
Well, if you look in your packet, if we follow, we're going to hopefully follow that schedule very closely. So while we are starting Charles Wright is when, if I'm still here, luckily, we would want to start that process so that there's a seamless transition, that when Wright opens, we could start renovating either Emerson, Williams, or Hammer.
And Wright opens approximately when? It's hard to read.
It is
27?
June of 20?
30.
It's clear on the screen. I apologize, Joe.
27, yeah.
Reconstruction. Oh, I see. It actually doesn't open, looks like it doesn't open until 2030.
Yeah.
Okay. But you would move so that there's not a gap and go
Yeah.
right into the next one? Okay.
Exactly. So somewhere around 28,
Okay.
29, we would start having these types of conversations, especially understanding your interest in it and the process, getting better at that, so that, again, we can have a seamless transition into the second phase to putting it out to the residents.
As noted, I think in Dave's memo to us, ultimately, we will see a detailed special permit and site plan application for the new school building coming to us.
Yeah. I believe there are a number of steps along that way that we will be spending time together thinking
Okay,
about this project.
right, and probably for the one that's getting the addition as well.
Yes.
I would imagine. Okay. So anybody else have any other questions? I think what we're being asked to do is to, basically the motion would be to approve the proposal and make a favorable recommendation to the town council. Or would somebody like
I'll
to?
make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Do we get an award at Charles Wright for having the oldest portables?
Well, I don't know, we set the bar when we took them down to the studs and completely renovated them 3 years ago, so technically they're new.
They're pretty old, the high crest too, if I recall.
We did
Yeah,
safety
pretty old,
like
yeah.
this, so this project is going to be stellar.
Okay, stay safe, and hopefully you'll stay ahead of the ice if there is any tonight. Okay. Next is item 2.2, site plan application for 341 Jordan Lane, construction of a multifamily residential development in the SRD district. Attorney Seaman, if you would just
Yes.
identify yourself for the
Thank you.
record.
Good evening, members of the commission. Evan Seaman from Robinson and Cole on behalf of the applicant, and I'd like to just briefly introduce the team with us this evening. On behalf of the applicant, Joe Calafiore, Jim Cassidy, civil engineer, Chris Hill, project architect, and Jared Height from Solely Engineering, the traffic engineer. Jared is going to be available for questions, but the traffic report is identical to the one that was submitted with the rezone application earlier this summer. So again, this is a site plan application to develop 341 Jordan Lane with a multifamily residential development. We last appeared before the commission in July and obtained approval for a rezone to the special residential development district and also to establish a master plan. Since that time, we've appeared before DRAC, the Design Review Advisory Committee, and obtained a positive recommendation. And just a couple of weeks ago, we appeared before the Inland Wetlands and Conservation Commission and also obtained approval for a permit to conduct regulated activities in the floodplain. No work is proposed within inland wetlands or watercourses, but there is work in the floodplain, so we had to appear before the Wetlands Agency for that reason.
Evan, if you don't mind, sorry, I meant to do this, just to explain, so for the commissioner's benefit, we did, as the applicant is discussing this, some of you have half sheets of information, 11 by 17, and then every 3 seats, there's a full set of plans. So when we get to the point, if you're interested, there's a traffic study as well, but all of the documents are available. So just wanted to point that out. If we get through it, I think they will have a presentation, but you'll have full size or half size, whatever you prefer.
Great, thank you. Yeah, we do have a presentation. Jim will go over the plans in a couple minutes. And just to provide a couple high-level details before Jim goes over the plans, again, 3 mid-rise multifamily residential apartment buildings, 160 units in total. Per the master plan, 5% are going to be set aside as affordable, 240 parking spaces, recreational and amenity features as well. There's a nice walking trail, a private park area, and a community building for residents to utilize. Robust landscaping plan. This project's been really thoughtfully designed, nearly twice as much open space provided as is required under your regulations. About 65% of the property is going to be landscaped, which is above the requirement of 35%. And maximum building coverage is going to be less than 12%, where up to 35% is allowed. The property, I should note it, is 10.76 acres, southwest corner of Jordan Lane and Folly Brook Boulevard. It was previously used as a nursing and rehabilitation facility, and as we mentioned at the rezone process, the building has fallen into disrepair. It's frequently the subject of vandalism and trespassing, and unfortunately has become an eyesore to the community. But with this site plan application, we now have the opportunity to put this property back to good and productive use. And with that, I'd like to have Jim come up here, review the plans of what we're envisioning, and then after that, Chris Hill will review the architectural plans. Thank you.
Thank you, Evan. While Jim gets set up, we'll make sure that you can see the screen. And I know, Jim, while you're getting set up, I did put some communication on your packets. I think it's the last page. So just to clarify, so the Inland Wetlands Commission did approve the application on December 1st. The plans that you have in front of you are the most recent plans. The last set of comments we have from our town engineer are dated November 14th, and the correspondence that you have as part of your packet tonight is the response from the applicant's engineer addressing each and every one of those comments. The reason I'm saying this is that the Wetlands Commission did approve the application, and a condition of that approval was that they satisfy all the comments on the November 14th letter in your packet from the town engineer. And I believe Mr. Cassidy is going to, if you weren't planning to, just run through those outstanding comments, which you have addressed in the most recent plans. And for the commission's benefit, we do not have correspondence from our town engineer since the applicant's responses concurring that they are satisfactory. So, but I did ask the applicant to run through those. I don't think it's a matter of I think it's a matter of the town engineer's ability, capacity to respond. So, I just want to point out that the plans in front of us, at least from the applicant's perspective, do address the comments that we're going to run through.
You say the town engineering comments are in here, in this packet?
Yes, November 14th, and Chris, do you
This is
have?
the 18th, yeah. This is,
That is the response, that is the applicant's
yeah.
response, and the town engineer's comments from November 14th should be in your packet, yes.
Good to go?
Sure. Yeah, sorry.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Jim Cassidy, professional engineer and principal with the firm of Halsey, Pearson & Cassidy, here tonight representing 341 Jordan Lane Development LLC for the redevelopment of the property at 341 Jordan Lane, the former Weathersfield Mediplex site. First thing I'm going to do is just go over the existing site. This is a slide that we presented to you as part of the zone change for this property, the zone change and master plan. So this first site photo is the overall property is outlined in yellow. As Evan had mentioned, the overall property consists of 10.76 acres, and the new zone is SRD, Special Residential District. It is bounded on this particular photo. North is going to be to your right. So it's bounded on the north or to the right by Jordan Lane. Sorry. Having about 617 feet of frontage along Jordan Lane. On the bottom, where my cursor is now, or to the east, is Folly Brook Boulevard, where we have about 817 feet of frontage along Folly Brook Boulevard. And then on the south or the back is the Wilbercross Parkway. It's a non-access highway with an additional of about 250 feet of frontage along Wilbercross Parkway. And then on the top or to the west is Brookside Circle as a residential neighborhood consisting of single-family residential structures. In the center of the photo, you can see the existing building that's on this site. This is the former Mediplex facility. As mentioned, it was a former nursing home. The overall footprint of that building is actually about 83,000 square feet. The front section, you can see it's got the white roof. That's a one-story portion of the building. And then the back section with the black roof is a two-story portion of the building. Access to the site is off of Jordan Lane presently. There's two curb cuts. There's one at the top or at the northwesterly corner, and then there's one down at the bottom here at the the northeasterly corner of the site. Access through these curb cuts provides access to a drive aisle that goes around the entire perimeter of the building, in addition to an access driveway along the front, and then two small parking areas in these little enclaves of the building here and here. The current number of parking spaces on the site cannot be determined. As mentioned, the site's kind of in disarray at this point. There's no line striping left on the site, but there is a very significant amount of impervious covers associated with this parking area and drives. I'll also note that Folly Brook actually enters the site at the southwesterly corner where the cursor is now, follows along the south side of the parking lot, eventually going to the east side of the access driveway and eventually discharging through a culvert under Jordan Lane up at the northeast corner of the site. Associated with Folly Brook, there is a wetlands. The wetlands was delineated by a professional soil scientist, and we had located all the wetlands flags on the site and had a total wetlands area of about 2.2 acres. Another important thing to note about the site, and as mentioned, a good portion of the site is in a floodplain. If you were to go out there today, what you'd find is the elevations for the parking area and the building are pretty much gradual. The building is a high point at about elevation 50. Everything slopes away from the building to the west, to the north, and also to the east, and then also back to the south towards Folly Brook. The 100-year flood elevation in this area is elevation 49. The lowest point on the property is going to be about elevation 40, which is Folly Brook, as it discharges underneath Jordan Lane. These are just a couple site photos that we presented to you last, are photos of the existing structure. As mentioned, it's been kind of vandalized over the years and has not been kept up and in disarray, and people have been breaking into it. Where we're here tonight, oops, sorry, went forward too many here. What we're here for tonight is to be able to receive our site plan approval at this point for the redevelopment of this site for a new multifamily development. This is the same plan that we presented as part of our master plan, in which we're looking to build 3 new buildings on the site. The existing structure would be completely demolished along with the existing paid parking areas. We'll start with what we call Building A, which is the northwesterly most building. This would be a 3-story structure. Chris Hill, our architect, will explain the architectural design of the building shortly. This building is designed to have a total of 34 dwelling units in it. This building in particular has a total footprint area of about 14,660 square feet. You'll see a light tan area to the back of it. This area would be a community center as part of the overall residential community. having an additional area of about 3,169 square feet. This would be the first building that we built as part of this development. Access to the site would actually, on the northwesterly side, would remain through the same curb cut that presently exists out there today. This would provide access around in front of Building A, ultimately to another parking area that would be constructed between Building A and these other two buildings. The other two buildings, the one to the north is Building B, and Building C to the south. These two buildings are identical. They're both 4-story structures. Each one of these buildings has a total number of units of 63, providing a total number of units on the site of 160, same as was originally proposed as part of our master plan approval. These two buildings have an overall footprint area of 19,011 square feet, which brings the total building area on this site up to 851. Important to note, that's about a 30,000 square foot reduction in just building area on the site. So there is going to be not only reduction in building area, but overall impervious coverage. It's important to note. Again, so access to the site will be through the existing curb cut at the northwest corner. There will be a new site access driveway constructed around the entire perimeter of all the buildings. And then there'll be another site access driveway back out to Jordan Lane at this location. Now, if you go out there today, there is an existing curb cut near that location, but we're actually moving that curb cut about 20 feet off to the west. It gets pulled back from the intersection slightly. The configuration didn't work out that well. One of the reasons for doing that is we're going to be implementing a lot of new stormwater quality measures. If you go out there today and you take a look at where the parking and the drive is on the east side of the building especially, what you'd find is that basically right near the top of the slope for Folly Brook, we're actually pulling that parking area and driveway back almost 20 feet, increasing that area about 20 feet. So that's the purpose for relocating that curb cut. In addition to on this plan, I'm going to talk about some other stormwater features we're proposing. You'll see these light blue areas, these long linear areas off to the west, to the front, and then down here at this southeast corner of the site. We are proposing to create these stormwater features such as bioretention basins and bioretention swales, and they're designed to take and treat the first inch, 1.3 inches of runoff from this site and treat it before it's allowed to discharge off and continue on to Folly Brook. Also, Evan had mentioned that we are proposing some additional amenities. One of the features we're proposing is along the entire perimeter of the site. We're looking at having a walking trail with a total length of about 1,400 feet. That would connect to a walkway system within the site and also ultimately out to the sidewalk along Jordan Lane. There would be a dog park area on the far southeast corner of the site, and then this large area to the south of Building A would be an outdoor amenity area consisting of seating areas and fire pits as part of amenities for the community here. And then you see this small brown or tan color rectangle at the far end of the project. That's just a small maintenance building that would be developed as part of this development. We went over all the zoning requirements as part of the master plan approval. What I could tell you is that we had proposed originally, we held. We did ask for some substitute regulations such as, if you recall, you have a regulation that says you need to maintain 15 feet from the building to the paved area. We clarified that by having you allow us to include the sidewalks within that 15 feet. So we are meeting and exceeding that requirement. In addition to, we had an alternate requirement for landscaping within the parking lot to allow for 10% landscaping within the parking lot, which all the green color islands within the parking lot meet that landscape requirement. The purpose of this plan was to, once again, give you an idea how we're actually reducing impervious coverage. You'll see some bright green areas around the perimeter. Those are existing paved areas that are actually being removed. You can see, especially on the west side, how we're actually removing a large portion of the parking lot to pull it back from that residential community along Brookside Circle. In addition to along the south side, we're removing some pavement in this area, and then especially along Folly Brook, we're removing pavement along Folly Brook. Total reduction in impervious coverage is going to be about 0.30 acres. So about 20,000 square feet in total. So stormwater management, Typically, if you're doing a development of this type, you'd be starting with a virgin piece of land, and you'd be looking to actually capture the increase in runoff. Two things happen with this site. Number one, because we are actually reducing the impervious coverage. By a reduction in impervious coverage, you're reducing the runoff. So we're not proposing to do detention on this site. In addition to, the property is in a floodplain. So typically, when you're developing a property in a floodplain, you would not want to detain water in that it reduces or takes away from flood storage capacity. You're better off just letting it go. Especially with this site being a reduction, we can achieve a reduction in runoff, and we prepared an extensive drainage report as part of the application, which engineering department reviewed. So there is no detention proposed, but as I mentioned, we do have bioretention bases and bioretention swales. The first one is a bioretention basin down at the southeasterly corner of the site. This is intended to pick up the majority of the area of the parking area along the east side of the project and also Building C. It's designed to, once again, capture what we call the first flush of runoff, which is per the new 2024 DEP Stormwater Quality Manual, is 1.3 inches of runoff. What we're going to do is we've provided enough volume in the bottom of the basin to hold that for an extended period of time. What we're looking to do for an outlet is there's actually an existing pipe associated with the drainage system for the property, for the existing drainage system. We're going to put a new outlet structure on that, and then that outlet structure will attenuate that first flush. Any larger storm events will be able to go through an overflow weir and then through the outlet pipe and onto Folly Brook. So again, all we're going to be retaining is the 1.3 inches of runoff as part of this development. In addition to, I also mentioned on the west and on the north side, you'll see these longer light blue areas. These are also bioretention swales, and they're set up similarly, where there'd be an outlet structure at the end of each one. They're designed solely to collect the stormwater runoff from the parking areas and treat it. Ultimately, what we're going to do for the outlet of these systems is we're going to reutilize the existing outlets. If you go out there today, what you find is at this corner of the property here, so the southwesterly corner, most of the drainage system in the existing paved area connects to a catch basin and ultimately out to the watercourse here. We'll be removing the existing drainage system, constructing a new one as part of the development of the parking lot. We'd only be leaving the last section of pipe, but ultimately the outlet structure we build in the bioretention will connect to that existing pipe and then continue on to the wetlands. So that's how we achieved having no direct impacts to the wetlands associated with this development.
Can I ask a quick question? How deep is that going to be, the outlet from the
How
bottom?
deep is the outlet?
Yeah,
They're at maximum 18 inches.
it'll be 18 inches from the bottom.
18 inches from the bottom. So what it'll be is it's a concrete structure. You basically have 18 inches of,
Right.
of storage. There's a 3-inch diameter orifice in the bottom of it, so it does drain. It doesn't retain water forever. And then there's a 4-foot weir on the top of it.
So you expect that basin to be pretty much dry all the time?
Correct.
So you really won't see Folly Brook Boulevard anymore? There won't be really typically water there? I'm not to say you see it now, but the basin's going to be basically dry all the time?
They're going to be dry basins, yeah. That's the intention, to be dry basins. Just for a 24-hour period after a storm event, you typically see some water in them. Unless you get a flood event, which we'll get into shortly.
I have a question. You mentioned you're not going to have retention ponds, but you have these new areas here. I'm unfamiliar with that. Are they recessed? Are they deep? Do
They're
they hold
18
anything?
inches of water.
How much?
18 inches.
Oh, so they're 18-inch ditches, basically.
Here,
Yeah,
PC the column in the drawing, they have a column, an outlet column. That was in the last drawing, but anyways, you can see it yeah, you're right to the bottom, right there, you got it right there.
Oh, okay, that's
right
what they
there.
look like?
There's a column right there. It'll
Yep.
be 18 inches deep,
Yep.
tall
Alright.
with the water.
Yeah. So
Could I just add that we're going to start seeing a lot of these on most development sites? And I'm going to embarrass myself if I try to be an engineer, but I believe that we're not allowed to add any increase to the peak flow during a storm event. So I think the intent is to retain water or
retain and recharge, yep.
for a certain time period to reduce the peak flow And so we're going to start seeing a lot of these systems. We probably already have been, but we're going to start seeing them
Yeah.
on almost every large development.
Again, just be clear, I don't go down Folly Brook very much. Is there really a stream there right now, or is it just a swampy mess?
Oh, it's a stream.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna have that anymore, so when this goes north, or flows whatever direction, there's not gonna be any water anymore flowing down it?
Oh, the stream
You
will still be there. The streams, we're not touching the stream.
I thought this is, so that's not a replacement for the stream, that basement?
No, it's not a
The
replacement.
basin.
No, this is
Okay.
all, so I mean, you go out there
Okay,
today,
I
if
got
you go out, and you go on, especially along the easterly side of the site, there's
Yeah.
an existing guardrail. All these stormwater features we're talking about are basically within that existing paved driveway. That's how
Inside.
much it gets pulled back. So the stream, we don't touch the stream.
Not touching the stream.
And that's why we're using all the existing
Very good.
outlets, the existing, I mean, this package I have here is actually part of my wetlands presentation. And there's actually a plan in your plan set that kind of demonstrates where all these different outlet structures are and any recommendations that need to be done to make them functional, such as this is the one at the southwesterly corner. It just has a little bit of sediment in it that needs to get vacuumed out, but otherwise it's in fine shape. And then you have the bottom one here is the existing outlet from the bigger detention basin, or the bigger stormwater basin that we talked about. This in perfectly fine shape, it's perfectly clear.
So why don't you have that outlet go into the Folly Brook? It looks like it's connected to a pipe. The basin outlet.
So ultimately, the water needs to discharge to Folly Brook.
Right.
So we're just reutilizing the existing pipes. We're putting a structure on the existing pipe. So I need a structure to control the flows. If I just leave the pipe or leave the catch basin, I can't detain that first 1.3 inches of runoff. So we make a depression to contain that. We put in outlet structures to attenuate or control it. And then it has, again, the high level overflow for the large storm events. So continuing on, site utilities. Right now, if you go out there, there is a sanitary sewer system that actually goes around the east and west side of the site. That existing sanitary sewer system will be removed. We'll be constructing a new sanitary sewer service line that would actually go right down to the center of the site. That sanitary sewer service line would have individual laterals that service each one of the buildings. Now, one of the main reasons for doing that, as I mentioned, is the majority of the property is presently in the floodplain, below elevation 49. And a lot of those existing sanitary sewer manholes are below elevation 49. By putting it in the center, what you'll find is when we take a look at our cut and fill analysis plan, you're going to find that this whole center area is actually above the 100-year flood elevation. So it brings those manholes, the top frames, out of the 100-year floodplain. And it also provides this dry access to all three of these buildings. Water service.
I have a question. Historically, has this site ever flooded?
Yes.
It has?
Jordan Lane is flooded. Yes, it has flooded.
Recently? Do you
What's
know? Recently? How recent?
So I mean, I was trying to think of that the other day. I mean, my office used to be on Beaver Road. I've been in this general area for about 38 years now. And I can't remember the last time. I know it's flooded in the time that I've been here. I can't remember the actual event, but it's definitely flooded. I do recall that a portion of Jordan Lane at this culvert actually had been underwater at one point.
So if this floods again, assuming that it stays within the 100-year limit, you're just basically gonna be able to drive in and out at
Yeah,
water
so that's
level?
what I'm going to get to. Yeah.
So water's gonna be just about at the drive level?
Yeah, no, so that's what I was going to get to as part of your regulations is we need to deal with the 100-year floodplain. I guess I'll jump over to that part now. So as I mentioned, the site presently, 100-year flood elevation is 49.
Right.
In your zoning regulations under section, section 4.2 of your zoning regulations, what it states is under section 4.2C1, that when I'm developing a new residential structure, that I need to have my lowest floor elevation 1 foot higher than the 100-year flood elevation, meaning it needs to be at elevation 50. So on the site plans, you're going to find that all these buildings are set at elevation 50. If you were to take a look at the existing flood line, let me flip a couple pages here. Sorry, just trying to get to the right page. Just to give you an idea where the flood line is today. So I'm going to use this as an example. The purpose of this plan is actually to give you an idea of where the proposed buildings are in relation to the existing building. The outline in red is the existing building. If you take a look at the 100-year flood line today, what it actually does is enters here at the corner of Jordan Lane, and it actually follows around the entire perimeter of that existing building. A little tough to see on this plan, but what we're going to do as part of our development is we're going to regrade the site. So as part of your plans, we prepared a cut and fill analysis to demonstrate what our impacts are going to be within the 100-year floodplain. On this page on your plan, what you'd see is that the elevations in red, numbers in red are the areas that would be filling, and the elevations in green are the areas that would be cutting. So what happened is in the center portion, as I mentioned, this center courtyard area, that area gets built up. The area portion along the westerly side gets built up. All of the building elevations get built up, so they're all at elevation 50. What that does is it creates a new flood line that follows through the parking lot around the perimeter of this building and then ultimately along the curb line of this site. So what we do is we develop it so the entire buildings and that center core and access along that northwesterly side are all above the 100-year flood elevation, whereas today, if you take a look at the 100-year flood elevation, it goes around the entire perimeter of the building. So you actually provide drier, safer access as part of this development. Now, we're building it up, and the other part of your regulation says I cannot decrease flood storage capacity. I need to deal with what's called compensatory storage mitigation. So I need to compensate for it. So what we've done is along the brook side, along this easterly side of the project, that existing parking lot, we're actually lowering the grade about 6 inches. So it offers additional flood storage capacity, and also you tend to have a floodway along that water course, so it actually increases your cross-section, which improves flow in that section of the property. On this plan, on the grading plan, what you'd find, we have a table, and when we take a look at the gross cuts below the 100-year flood elevation, the gross cuts were 2,428 cubic yards. The fill required within the 100-year flood was 1,184 cubic yards, meaning you actually have an increase in flood storage capacity of 1,243 cubic yards. So it's actually not only providing you additional flood storage capacity volume, but because where we're taking the cut, it's along the water course, it actually improves the cross-section for the flow in that area. So it achieves two things. And also, by regrading in the manner we're regrading it, it provides you high, dry access from Jordan Lane to all these buildings, whereas right now, again, if you take a look at the grades around that parking lot, during a flood event, it floods around the entire building today.
So you basically mounded up the buildings,
Bring it up center.
right, and you redirected the water around it. Just a question, the 50-foot elevation, is that going to be the finished floor, people living on the first floor?
Correct.
Are they standing at 50 feet, when you're standing in your first floor?
No, it's
is that-
elevation based upon the datum, so it's NGP 83 datum in this area.
But that's the finished floor of the people
Ground.
that own apartments downstairs, right?
Yes, that's the elevation that they're at. So you walk out to grade, the grade outside is 50.
I mean, I don't know how much you believe or look into these, the change in weathers that we're having and, increased storms and so forth. Do you think the 1 foot that you've allowed is enough to, take care of that issue?
So it's a requirement of your regulation, it's also,
understand.
it's a requirement of FEMA. And now, I mean, I don't know if you could talk to this, David, but FEMA is actually in the process of updating the flood maps for this area.
Right.
For what I've seen for the new flood maps in this area, the elevation is actually going down for this area. So I am comfortable with the 1 foot.
Tell us about the 12 properties to the west and where the elevations will be with their parcels and easement. It's about 6 houses in, and that swale between those 12 houses and your 50-foot mark.
Where the elevation would be in relation to them?
What's the difference between?
It's similar. I mean, those houses are slightly higher than us. They're probably
They will
runs like elevation 52, somewhere in that area. It's pretty flat through here. Everything drains from then down through this swale and then ultimately onto Folly Brook. So the only other thing I was going to bring up was we did develop a pretty detailed phasing plan for this project. We've been working with your engineering department. With the intention is on this phasing plan, and this is something also we presented at the master plan level. The area and level would be phase 1, so building A would get constructed first, and all the site improvements associated within that yellow area would be constructed in phase 1. Ultimately, we prepare a second access driveway to Jordan Lane as part of this development of this phase. Once that phase is completed, we continue on to the pink area, which would be phase 2, which consists of the construction of building B, the second site access driveway, and then continuing that loop in stormwater management basin in that area. And the final phase would be the area in green. Phase 3 would be the construction of building C and any associated remaining parking areas with the development of that property. We also, you might have seen in this package, we have a very detailed set of erosion and sediment control plans detailing how we're going to handle erosion and sediment control in each one of the phases. That was reviewed and approved by the Wetlands and Water Courses Commission. So,
Two quick questions. One is, are these going to be on slabs or are they going to have a basement?
slabs.
Okay,
Presently, the building has a basement. These would be on slabs.
right. Are you going to end up with 3 driveways?
No, so the middle driveway would be removed once we go into
Okay.
phase 2. So it's going to have 2 driveways just like it has today.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Sorry. So the other thing I just wanted to bring up is David had mentioned we did receive the memo from Engineering Department on November 14th. I didn't bring the actual memo. I didn't bring my actual response letter with it, but the revisions, that was our second review with engineering. The comments were minor. There was no major changes to the plan associated with them.
Jim, if I could, I just want to interject. So that is the correspondence that I just handed out. I did include the memo that refers to that in the packet, but because Jim's memo does point by point refer to the memo, they're all adequately addressed in his memo, but now for good measure, you have the original memo on both of them from November 14th and the applicant's response. And sorry to interrupt, but I believe you're going to go through those one by one at some point.
So I didn't bring I didn't plan on going through those, so I didn't bring those, but what I'll state.
Can you talk to them if I give you the
Can if you
memo?
want, but again, they're minor in nature.
Yeah, we can give you a copy. I think for the commission's benefit, just to understand that the plans that the commission has in front of them do
Yeah,
address.
so I was going to just go over
Okay, that's what- yeah.
sequencing of what happened. Okay, so we did receive the last memo from engineering on November 14th, which is a Friday. We did update the plans. We had them completed by the following Monday, November 17th, which is the date on the plans that you have before you, and was the date on the plans that were submitted back to Wetlands. To ensure that all the comments were satisfied, I sat down with engineering department on the 18th and created this response letter to go through each item, one item at a time. Ultimately, because we had a Wetlands meeting on the 19th, which I wanted to make sure that we were all set for. So these are all the responses. They are all addressed. You do have the most current plans. I can go over them one by one. Would you like me to go through one by one?
No, what's the commission's pleasure on that?
I
Very
think
not- to me,
maybe
it's
if
not much
anybody
there.
has a question, I have a couple questions on a couple of them, but I don't think, unless anybody else feels differently, I don't think you need to read off all of them.
Sure.
Because we can all read them. On 1B, where it talks about add notes as applicable, you you added a sheet, it says, so does that, I'm curious, were there notes added? It just said as applicable to that
Yes.
sheet, C19? Okay,
So that sheet, basically, that is the sheet that I showed you that
Okay.
shows you the existing outlet structures with any applicable recommendations
Okay.
as to modifications that we.
and just to clarify, so engineering was essentially reviewing the same set of plans
Correct.
simultaneously for purposes of Wetlands Commission and this commission?
Yep.
Okay. And just a minor thing on 1C, I see that you added a certification block for the soil scientist to the survey sheet. The one that I have isn't signed, but if we don't already have one, we'd like to have one for the file.
Yeah, so the final would be signed. Unfortunately, Mr. Logan is actually in Greece right now.
Okay,
So timing wasn't
understood.
good for getting it signed.
Number 4 references showing a minimum of 2 feet cover for a certain type of pipe, and the response is that the pipe type has been changed. Does
So-
that eliminate the cover issue?
Yes, so what happens is we have that temporary access drive we talked about.
Yep,
If I go to, again, we got into some pretty detailed erosion and sediment control plans as part of this. So during phase 1, we need to build the temporary access driveway into the site. That temporary access driveway is going to go across the stormwater, the bioretention swale we're building along the north side of the project. So I need to let the water flow underneath it, so I was proposing a temporary pipe underneath that temporary access driveway. Taking a look at the fine grading of it, we found, yes, we had less than 2 feet of cover. Originally, we were looking at using what we call high-density polyethylene. Manufacturer's recommendation is to have 2 feet of cover, or the other option is, so we don't have a bump in that driveway, we went with what we call a Class 5 concrete pipe, which you can go down to 1 foot of cover.
okay.
So it's easier just to go down to a Class 5 pipe and not have a hump in that
Okay.
driveway as you came in.
Thank you. And my last question is item 12, just to understand. The response was you've asked the landscape architect to revise the rain garden bioretention detail and will forward once it's
The seating
available.
in it, yeah, some of the seating in it was, we differed in what we recommended for seating compared to what the landscape architect, so we just needed to get it, you know.
Was that still in process and to be
That would be on the
submitted?
final plan, correct.
Okay.
It would just, again, we did all this in like 4 days, so.
Okay.
It just wasn't enough timing to get the landscape plan updated.
Okay, all right. Thank you. I'm seeing a lot of this stuff is notes and so forth. I appreciate. Okay.
Just a follow-up question. Looking at these, I mean, these are not that difficult to take care of. And I see you've done a good job at that. I was curious, I mean, this is pretty intricate drainage design that you've done here. In the course of working this out and working with our town engineering department, was there anything that you had to change and that Derek wanted differently? I know Derek's pretty fussy about these things. Was there anything that you can recall that you had to change or any contention in your design?
The only thing we really changed, and it was mentioned in this memo, is the one bioretention swale along the east side of the project. It was a little bit short on what we call the stormwater quality volume. So he asked us to increase it. So all I did is increase the bottom width by a foot, which got me the additional capacity I needed within that. Otherwise, honestly, I mean, quite honestly, the storm drainage on this project was very simple in that you have a, we'll call it antiquated drainage system out there that doesn't treat any stormwater quality, just lets everything rip to the water course. And we were able to come up with new measures and introduce what we call BMPs, best management practices, and to take that water and improve it as it comes off the site, and also reutilize those existing outlets. We were able to break down the areas so the outlet pipes had enough capacity for each one. So there was not really a lot of drainage questions on this project. I think it was more phasing, how we're going to handle utilities, and then the access driveways into the site.
Thanks.
Ask another question in a
I have a
second.
question. You have over 160 units. Where's the HVAC for it? Is it in the attic?
I'll let the architect talk a little bit about that once he gets up. But basically, what they do, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, they use a system that's called a Magic Pack. So there's an individual unit for each one of the dwelling units. And what happens is when you have that porch, there's a little closet outside the porch, and the unit's in that closet. So there's nothing on the roof, there's nothing on the ground. It's all contained within a
There'll
closet.
be no major exterior noise.
Correct. But I'll have Chris Hill get up and talk a little bit more about the...
Jim, before you leave the podium, if I could just ask a question for you, I just want to make sure that I ask it just for the record. Were there any questions or comments on the November 14th letter from the town engineer that are unresolved or that you do not think you can satisfactorily or have already addressed in your
The
revision?
only thing that was not resolved, as already mentioned, is comment number 12, just the coordination between my plan and the landscaping plan
Okay.
for seed mixes. Everything else has been addressed.
Thank you.
And I guess I'll just ask you, there's two memos from the Fire Marshal Anthony Dignati, and it looks like his June 13th one has been superseded by his November 26th memo, because he says that items 1, 2, 3, and 6 in his prior memo have been addressed and are approved. So the only outstanding things are that the locations of the fire department connections for the sprinkler system shall be approved by the fire marshal, and the requirement of the rapid entry vaults for the buildings as well. So,
That's part of the final building design.
right, have those been noted on the plan? Because if not, we would just want to make sure we
No, so
note
what
them
we
as a
would do as part
condition.
of an approval, we would put
Right.
those approval letters and any remaining conditions or comments
Okay,
as part of the final plan.
thank you. Okay.
Going to have Chris, the architect, get up and talk a little bit about
Sure.
this.
How do you advance it?
Hey, Joe, can I ask a quick question?
Just goes down?
And
Just use the mouse like you normally do.
real quickly, I guess I could, maybe I can't see it, but in Jordan Lane and Fallbrook, there's two pipes under the road, one for, are there separated? Are there
there's-
separated lines under the road? One for septic and one for sewer? We have,
Say again?
are they separated? We have two
they're-
lines under Jordan Lane and Fallbrook?
There's a separate storm
Okay,
drainage.
so they're
system,
separate already.
Sanitary sewer.
Yeah.
We're not even tying into the storm drainage in Jordan Lane. It goes right to Folly Brook.
Yeah, but in Fallbrook you are though, right? With those
Tying
basins?
into the Folly Brook itself.
Oh,
not
okay,
tying-
no, because you
not
said you're
tying-
going to an existing pipes, but that existing
We're
pipe
using existing pipes that come from our site to Folly Brook,
to the brook.
to the brook.
Okay, good.
So we don't impact the brook. We don't have any
Gotcha.
direct wetlands impacts.
So nothing's connected under the street on the,
No.
So my name's Chris Hill, Principal Architect of Blue Moon Design. So we just to go over, highlight some of the architecture. Basically, the architecture has stayed the same as what we had presented at the zone change master plan. We had presented to design review, some color renderings here, and they made a couple minor comments that we addressed. They were concerned about what we were using as a material for the header at the brick. We confirmed it was a soldier course, and then they were concerned about the detail of the brick to siding, how that looked and everything. So what you're looking at right now is the 4-story buildings. So you can see it has we used kind of a tasteful mix of brick and vinyl siding, clapboard, and some shingle to try to help with the scale. So the 4-story building occurs at buildings B and C. They're basically mirror image on both sides of the building as well, but what you're looking at right now is the side facing inward towards the driveways, because you can see the entrance in the center of the page there. And so this is the building A, the one we're building first. This is the 3-story portion. It's got the apartments, and then off more in the heart of the center of the project, we created this extension off that has the some community amenity spaces that lead out to the exterior amenity spaces. So basically, what you're looking at over on this side is there's a community space, a decent-sized community space that the residents can use, and on that facade, and then behind that there's a gym, and then there's some building maintenance spaces. And then this is just a look from Jordan Lane that shows the buildings facing, and, Jordan Lane. But I can take any questions that you may have on the architecture.
Just back to the air conditioning question, you're going to have air conditioning on each one of the porches, you said?
Yeah, so, I don't know, wait, can you zoom in here, let's see.
I see them on the walls, right?
So, you'll see them,
There.
I see.
basically, they're,
Yeah.
it's a self-contained unit. It gets you away from having the compressors on the ground and that whole situation. They're very quiet. And you access they're kind of self-contained and
So these are heat pumps you're putting up?
basically, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And then on the porches, there's actually a maintenance access from that porch. There's a doorway. But it provides an air system to the unit. Very efficient.
Good.
Questions?
I noticed the engineer had asked about elevators and trash for the buildings, and I see them in buildings B and C, but not A on the dot.
There are elevators on all of them?
I thought, no, yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Oh, I'm sorry, just
Is there,
elevators on the two, on B and C, but not on,
and a trash room, yeah.
correct.
Will there be added to building A or?
I'm sorry?
Will there be an elevator in building A, or will it only be stairs?
Just the stairs,
Just stairs. And will there be a trash room?
not on the building A.
And about just the trash rooms in general, or about trash in general, where will the trash be, is the trash going to be held in the trash rooms until somebody shows up with a garbage truck, or how is that working?
Yeah, it's ultimately it's a maintenance, or it's a building operations, but they would be taken to the dumpsters, the dumpster.
Oh, there will be, because I didn't see dumpsters on the diagram, so I wasn't
Yeah.
sure. Where would the dumpsters be? Do we know?
Over at the Department of Labor.
Yeah. There isn't a lot of room.
Oops. Sorry.
No, that's just the maintenance sheet, so someone's got to walk over down there. The maintenance building.
Thing is, so So the maintenance, sorry, again for the record, Jim Cassidy. This is the maintenance building. The first dumpster closure is to the right to the left of that maintenance building. In addition to, there's another dumpster enclosure
Okay.
in this location. If you can see my cursor right there. There's going to be a dumpster and a recycling bin on each of those. But as Chris mentioned, there's also a trash room within the building. Correct, with a trash chute.
Not an A, though.
Not an A, though,
Not
just
an
a
A.
B and C.
Not an A, just B and C.
So A will be walking their garbage over.
Correct.
Okay.
How do the other two work in the trash room? Is there like a chute that drops down to the first floor and then maintenance will take it from the first floor? Okay.
Are you going to have like an office in each building where things like deliveries and mail get left? Or how's that going to work?
Yeah, so each lobby has, I don't have the plans on the slideshow, but there's a mail room inside each of the lobbies.
The brick is a brick veneer facade, right?
It's a full, it's not like adhered, it's a full 4-inch brick.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
not just,
No, it's not the adhered kind, it's a
it's
full
full,
wide
it's a full veneer with brick.
Correct, yeah.
And above it is going to be wood or vinyl?
Vinyl.
Just trying to bring up your.
Floor plans, if anyone wants to see them, are in the full size and the half size is on the dais. A7 is one example of building A first floor plan.
The questions on the commission?
No, you don't have that one here. Oh, sorry. Thought I had in there.
Just the only other thing that maybe you could mention, you talked about the 3 phases. What's the timing of each phase?
Good evening, I'm Joe Calafiore. I represent, or I am the developer, 341 Jordan Development LLC. The timing is, we're going to start, if we get approval tonight, we're going to start environmental abatement and demolition within the next 30 to 45 days. And we will hopefully have plans ready for construction and permitting by late spring, early summer. And it's about 18 months. And then, per the bank requirements, once we reach stabilization, that's income stabilization for the first building, we'll then have the ability to move forward with the second building. And we hope to do that within 6 months to a year of stabilization of the first. And then the second phase will be approximately another 18 months. Once that gets stabilized, within 6 months to a year, we'll start phase 3.
So, Joe, you're talking maybe a couple, 3 years, to
4
years to
3, no, it's about 5 years.
5 years to
Do a quick
complete
math
this?
in my head.
Okay.
I would love to shorten the time frame, trust me, but it's all dependent on the banks and us reaching, getting enough apartments rented and stabilizing the revenue stream.
So while you're building the other buildings and the first phase is done, I assume you're going to take some steps to make sure that, you know, people don't cross over into your construction, right? You got to keep people away from the construction.
phase
Have you
will
worked
be,
that through? How's that going to work?
Right, so if you look at the way the phasing is done, our second phase can be divided from the first phase and fenced off. So you can access phase 1 in and out, and it doesn't affect phase 2. We can use a separate entrance for phase 2. Phase 3 is the rear building, and that can be fenced off, that area, from phase 1 and phase 2. So those areas will be completely fenced off so that no one can get into those areas.
Okay, so in phase 1, you're only going to have half of the parking, and you're going to fence off the lower portion that you'll add once you get building 2.
Right. The reason we're doing that is so we can keep the fence far enough away, we can use that area for staging. We also happen to have, phase 2 is easier actually, because we can use phase 3, some of the phase 3 area for staging. Phase 3 becomes a little trickier, you're right, it's a good point. And, but that green area will have to get fenced off to some degree, pretty close, except for the road. We can't close the road at that point. So from the road that wraps around the building, the perimeter of the building, that'll be fenced in so that no one can get in there.
Okay. Thanks.
And just a quick question, I see the floor plans, but the studio units are, what do they range square footage-wise for the studios roughly?
I have it over there.
I believe we had around 600
Yeah, one.
square feet for the studios.
For 1? Studios then.
619.
Yeah.
Answer form.
Yeah, 620 to 683 square feet for the studios.
And the ones, are they the ones that are like 740-ish?
Yeah, around 743.
And then the threes were 1,100 and something?
The 2 bedrooms, yeah.
Threes?
We don't have 3 bedrooms.
Sorry, the 2 bedrooms,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Those are 1,100, and the one, the 2
Correct.
bedrooms, how many bathrooms do they have?
There's 2 baths in the 2
Okay.
bedrooms. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Anybody else have anything?
Are the affordable units going to be phased in evenly, or how's that going to work?
Joe Calafiore. Yes, as per David, and we had discussed this request, every phase will have 5% at minimum. So I have 34 units, so the first phase will have 2 units because we can't build 1.6 or 7. And then every type of unit will be used, so it's not restricted. So we're going to have studio, 1-bedroom, and 2-bedroom will all be affordable. We're going to have 2 studios, 3 1-bedrooms, and 3 2-bedrooms. When everything's completed, will be affordable. So we...
That's roughly-
Yes, we could.
Parallel with the number of units in total?
Right, so when we get to building 2, there's 63 units, so you'll get 4 units. That'll be, and we'll make sure that they're as close as we can, or it's in the plan. So whatever's in the plan, which specifically says 2 studios, 3 1-bedrooms, and 3 2-bedrooms.
Does the 20 years start at the beginning of each phase, or does it?
Every unit has to be 20 years. So phase 1 would be 20 years, phase 2 is 20 years,
Okay.
phase 3 is 20 years. So we're not
Yeah, you're not,
starting it, and then by the time we're done, it's only 10. So every unit has to be 20 years.
okay, thank you.
I just had one quick question on the draft affordable plan, which I realize the town attorney's going to review, but there's a clause about change of income or qualifying status of a resident, which I think if they meet a certain threshold in terms of what their income went up to, they might be able to stay for an additional 1 year before they'd be required.
That's, I believe that's a HUD
Okay.
guideline. We've done these before.
Yep.
So if, for example, someone's in there and their income exceeds by 10%, I believe it's something like that, they don't have to leave. They get to stay, and it gives them time to transition, so I think they get another year. So if they're making jointly $80,000, and the next year they're making 85 or 88, there's a bridge.
Okay.
I believe, and we can talk to you.
That's okay. I was just curious.
That's what I think.
In that same paragraph, I think you might want to take a look because it talks about if the household's income is above 80% of AMI, but then it says, but below 11% of AMI, so I'm not sure if that meant to say below 91% or if not
Maybe that's a
it seemed
typo.
like it's off.
I apologize.
Not sure.
I'll
That's
take
okay.
a look at it. Where was that?
Paragraph 13, second line, so just double check
What
that.
page is that?
Okay. But again, I guess the town attorney will review, and I think I saw somewhere, maybe was it in your plan where it talked about, or maybe
Yeah,
Dave in your,
that's a typo. I apologize.
No, that's okay.
Prior to the first certificate.
I'll
of
correct that.
occupancy.
Is that in
Yeah,
your-
that was me. Generally, yeah, that's sort of our last point for compliance, or at least as I
okay,
usually apply it.
okay,
That actually might be 110%.
okay,
I think that's what the statute says. So
okay,
we'll make a note of that, and I will resubmit the plan
Just
with
that
the
one. Okay,
correct
it's for the town attorney to
information
review that one.
Meets our legal obligation.
Sure, okay, no, appreciate that, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Anything else from the applicant?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Evan Seaman, for the record, just want to thank the commission for its time. This has been, do you have,
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
Oh,
you,
no
but
problem.
I guess I should just ask if any commission members have questions on the traffic study, which they've said it's the same one that we reviewed the first time through. Anybody have any questions? Okay,
I
I'm
wasn't
sorry.
here for that, but I'll trust you guys.
It may be good just, yeah, so since you weren't here and it's been a while, maybe just a refresher. We don't want to go through every single page, but just give us a quick refresher of your
Yeah.
conclusions and how you arrived at them. That would be helpful.
yeah, sure. Jared Height from Solely Engineering is here, and he can come address that.
Okay, for the record, Jared Height with Soul Engineering, Senior Project Manager. So for the conclusion of our traffic impact study, I could just read our conclusion here. The project proposed to redevelop at 341 Jordan Lane in Weathersfield, Connecticut, with the 3-story buildings and 2-story, 4-story multifamily residential buildings with a total 160 units. We based our analysis off of ITE generating approximately 60 new trips for this development during the weekday AM peak hour, and about 66 new trips anticipated for the weekday PM. We study the AM and the PM peak hours for the development. We analyzed the 2 stop control driveways. There's one further to the west and one closer to the east of Fallbrook. And one of the concerns that I believe the fire chief brought up in his memo was the queues that would back up and probably block the vehicles exiting the easternmost driveway. And we told them that it would not be too much of a concern because once that light turns green, the queue will release and then vehicles will safely exit the driveway. The intersection site distance of the driveway is adequate based off of Connecticut DOT standards. And so that was the concern with the 95th percentile queues of the report. You know, this is a pretty much a low traffic generator development, not going over 70 vehicles, total trips in and out. So it was for the professional opinion of the Soul Engineering that the traffic to be anticipated by this development will be adequate for the adjacent roadway.
Questions on traffic?
Can I just add one thing? It's also important to note that this project is on a state highway, and it also meets all the criteria for requiring what we call a major traffic generator permit. We have filed an application with the Office of State Traffic Administration, and they're going to have a look at it too. And obviously, if there's any recommendations on the state highway, we'd have to incorporate those. But as Jared had mentioned, it is low traffic generator. We're not anticipating it, but there is another pair of eyes that are ultimately going to watch this as part of this application.
Yeah, I was trying to understand the comment by the fire marshal. He was concerned that too many cars stack up with the light and then you can't get fire trucks in? Is that the concern?
No, his concern was the sight line for vehicles exiting, looking right. He was thinking that once the vehicle pulls out into the roadway, if they look right, the queuing at the stoplight would block their vision of turning left.
So it's a sight line concern. It's not an access concern.
No.
Does it matter at all about the state labor department being right around the other corner? Will there be peak hours coming and going at that at all?
Yeah, I mean, that is part of the traffic counts that were done out there. It was already incorporated into it. And again, ultimately, you know, we had to project out to the completion of the development as part of our OSTA permit. So that's all going to be taken into consideration. The other thing I'll mention, you know, there was a question about the queuing at that intersection. We are actually pulling that existing driveway. It is an existing driveway at the east side. We're pulling it further away from the intersection.
And you will be allowing both a right and a left-hand turn from that driveway?
Right. Yes, just as it is today.
Yeah, I guess my only question about the Department of Labor is, do you still assume that people will only be there one day a week, or are you counting for folks to return?
Well, we do. So the peak hour counts were done 7 to 9 a.m. and then 4 to 6 p.m. Those are the hours that we collected the volumes. That's your typical.
Right.
Oh, no, we only counted for one weekday of the week.
The ITE manual has updated the state's telework policy yet.
No.
Well,
Is that what you're asking?
Well, they took actual measurements they took. I mean, I don't know if are they working there these days or not? That's the question.
So those were, actual counts.
Yeah.
Were those actual counts and not projections?
Those are actual counts.
Oh.
That real-time data.
So
Yeah.
do you know if they're working every day, or are they working just some of the days?
The development you're talking about, particularly talking about, I'm not aware of.
It's on the southeast corner of Jordan Lane and Folleybrook.
Are they still on one day a week?
Yeah, but one day versus 2 days doesn't make any difference. You gotta be covered for the one day. Yeah, so it doesn't make any difference how many days.
It depends on when they took their measurement.
Well, you only have
Yeah.
1/5 as many people going in on any given day.
I don't think many state employees.
Oh, you're saying that's the peak period anyway? Is that where you're,
Yeah, you don't care if it's 5 days a week or 1 day, as long as it's the one worst
That's
day.
right.
I see what you're
And state
saying.
guys aren't going in anyway, so it's probably
They're
whatever it
gonna,
was.
they're gonna
probably
design to
half
the
the
peak
people.
period.
Yeah.
It's a good question, I think.
That's a good point.
Yeah, because I mean, they kind of threw out all the numbers for COVID, and this is probably one of the few remaining ones.
Anybody know, I think you said you can't count them because they're not striped anymore, but out of curiosity, do you have just a ballpark sense of how many parking spaces they had there with the old
There's
facility?
at least a couple hundred around the perimeter of that building.
Yeah.
And another good thing to realize is, back in this day, it probably generated just as much, if not more traffic.
Between employees on shifts and visitors on, right,
Escapees.
right.
It was 300,
Wheelchairs going out in the road.
that facility used to be 360 beds.
Oh, okay. All right, any more questions, Commission? Okay, I think we're back to, I don't know if you had anything further, Attorney Seaman?
Again, for the record, Evan Seaman, on behalf of the applicant, just want to thank the commission for its time. This has been a project that's been in the works for a little while, and I think as you've seen in our presentation, this really puts this distressed property back to productive use through our proposed redevelopment. There's going to be an overall reduction in building area as compared to present reduction in impervious coverage of about 0.3 acres or 20,000 square feet, a net gain in flood storage capacity, and we're also going to be introducing stormwater quality treatment, not to mention new housing options in town, which is always a positive thing. I've been trying to keep track of some of the things noted as possible conditions of approval, and we'd respectfully request approval tonight subject to conditions compliance with the town engineer's memo, I believe November 14th. Mr. Cassidy went through that in his presentation. A few of the fire marshal's comments that you went over, Mr. Chair.
Which I think are in his the fire marshal's November 26th memo.
Yep. And I believe the last thing that I have jotted down here is the correction to the affordability plan. The 11% should be corrected.
Okay.
And worked out with the town attorney.
And then I think our planner had a suggestion somewhere in terms of the timing of when the affordability restrictions have to be recorded. Is that correct?
Right, which I would do administratively anyways, that we finalize the affordability plan and have those reviews by the town attorney done, not later than the first certificate of occupancy. Just gives time for any adjustments that happen between tonight's approval and when they're actually being rented.
But definitely would encourage you to, the earlier you can address it, then you won't have a delay at the end. Okay.
Yes.
Also, the soil scientist's signature on the plans. I know that I know the soil scientist did sign the report that everything is based on, so that provides reassurance, but also just a note that we'll have an official set of plans with the soil scientist's signature.
Great. Well, that concludes our presentation.
Thank you
for your
very
time.
much. All right, so this is not a public hearing item. We can, if we're ready, we can go right into a deliberation and could go right into a motion if somebody's so inclined.
Make a motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Okay? And
Second with the conditions that we just discussed.
I was going to say, application 22-425Z, 341 Jordan Lane, the multifamily residential development district, led by the development company, with being clear that the fire marshal's comments have been satisfied, the engineer's comments of November 14th satisfied, the November 18th letter, item number 12 of the effort by the landscape architect be satisfied, and the affordability language be identified and clarified within the, as stated this evening.
And the fire marshal memo that you referred to is dated November
Want to put the
26th?
date in there? Okay.
Sure, and then, okay, and that's good, you called out item 12 in the town engineers, although all of them have to be confirmed by the town engineer that
Exactly.
they've
I
been
think everything else is put on the
completed.
record based on
Right,
the testimony.
right. And then would you want to include in that the affordability restrictions to be reviewed and approved by the town attorney and
Well,
shall be,
And that affordability plan to be reviewed by the town
and
attorney
then
with
what
the
did,
town planner.
and then Dave, did you also want to say that they shall be recorded prior to first, to granting of CO? Is that what you had suggested?
Yeah, we can, yes.
Okay. All right, and does that cover anything else?
Signature of the soil scientist.
Signature of the soil scientist?
Yep, I think,
Soil
That's on the
scientist,
engineer's
sure.
comments.
yeah, yep, okay, we got that. Anything else, Dave? Okay. Are the, Tony and Rich, are you both, got it all? Okay. Any discussion? If not, yes, Tracy?
Do we need to include anything about the fact that they're going to the state, on a state road, and the traffic plan could change?
I think, as a practical matter, I think they need to get state sign-off, most importantly, and if the state, I mean, I think if, as a practical matter, if the state's going to require anything, I think it would be an improvement to the state roadway. I guess potentially it could involve doing something at the entrance, maybe a little bit on your property, at which point then, depending on what it is, they might need to come back, whether it's administratively or whether it's to us, would depend on the nature of what the state was requiring them to do. But I think we kind of let the process play out with the state, and there may be nothing that comes back, and if there's something, then we'll figure out how to address it, I think, if that sounds reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, there's no point in making a condition something that's a condition.
Right, right. Anything else?
Well, bluff.
All right, if nothing further, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, any abstentions?
I'm abstaining.
Abstaining. Chris, okay, so 8-0, application is approved. Good luck to you. All right, moving on. Minutes. Want to start with the November 5th minutes.
Do you have a PE license?
Right, everyone?
Do you have a PE license? Do you have a PE license? PE license?
I'm an architectural.
Okay, okay. No, I was just curious. I was looking at this number versus where my number is.
All right, would somebody like to make a motion on the
I'm at
I'll make the
14,000.
November 5th minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve November 5th minutes.
This is,
Okay, second by Tony, motion by, excuse me.
Motion by Tony.
Motion by Tony, second
Second
by
by
Peter.
Pete.
Tony, did you have something you wanted to?
I was just going to say that it appears that David Edwards was not here and Tracy was not here.
Was not here.
If you read the minutes?
I wasn't here.
Or read them. In favor or against?
I was going to abstain.
Give you time to watch the video, then you can read the minutes.
Yeah,
again.
there you go.
All right, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, any abstentions? Tracy? Okay. Next, November 18th minutes. Is there a motion?
I'll motion to accept November 18, 2025
Is there a second?
minutes.
Second by someone?
Second.
Chris? Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, any abstentions?
Abstain.
That was Joe? Okay. All right, minutes are approved. Going back to the agenda, public comment on non-agenda items. There is no public present here tonight. Correspondence? Dave, I don't think there is any, is there?
No.
Okay, staff reports?
I will report that I attended the town council meeting last night to present the affordable housing plan and a plan of conservation and development. I answered a few questions, and they are aware that we have the first potential action where the commission could adopt the plan of conservation development is January 21st. And it is yet to be seen if we're going to have a formal endorsement or not, but they did get the referral, and we are on our way. I did ask for any remaining comments to be submitted by January 6th, which would allow us to incorporate any changes before the public hearing on January 21st.
Sorry. Maybe you might want to note this was Ron and
So I will say, so for the pickleball court, we did, sorry, that's a good point. So we lost a week of time due to weather, and so the noise or sound analysis was delayed. We were hoping that they could be here tonight to present the findings, but the soonest they're going to be able to be here to present is the 16th, and because of the time frame allowed for us as a commission to hold a public hearing or conduct a public hearing, and we would have exceeded, I think it would have actually taken us, the longest extension we could have had would have taken us to December 13th. So therefore, the town has withdrawn the application and is immediately going to be reapplying, which will afford us the opportunity of hearing the presentation of the sound
they
analysis.
did reapply already.
They did reapply, yes, I apologize. The next day. So we have a new application. It was received in the office on the 25th. Notices of the public hearing are going out tomorrow, December 3rd. And the public hearing is set, it will be in the rare reminder for December 4th, but it will continue as...
Tomorrow? Or not tomorrow, this Thursday.
Tomorrow, the letters to the abutters will be mailed, and it will be published in the rare reminder on the 4th.
Okay, so we're on track for 12/16, but it's a new application that'll
But
be...
the engineer couldn't do it because of the weather? Was he working outside? It's just,
Too cold,
it's not that big of a project.
cold to pick up sound,
Sure, let me get to the next one.
windy.
Yes, correct, yep.
I'll have a new number on it, too.
Oh, correct, yes.
All right, and then I guess just to, in addition, let's just be clear, 9.2, which is 1,000 Celestine Highway. I don't remember how we left it at the last meeting, whether there was any possibility that it would be heard tonight, but in case anybody's listening on television, that will not be heard tonight, and we anticipate it'll be heard and continued on December 16th, correct, at 7 p.m.?
Correct, correct. If we receive information that, the town engineer has requested 10 days in advance of any material.
Right.
So today, and we did not receive anything today, if we receive a lot of comments, we may have to continue or postpone
In
that.
which case, we would announce it on December 16th, and then finally, the number 9.3 is an entirely new application, which at this point, you're anticipating opening the hearing on January 6th.
Correct, and I did hear from the applicant, they may be returning to the Historic District Commission, and so that could also be postponed.
Okay, good. Anything else, or are we in good shape?
That's all I have.
All right.
Thank you.
Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Tony?
Second.
Second, Rich, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? All right, thank you.
Dave, so
You can stick around, yeah, I'll give you
Took a
an
long time to sell that one, didn't it?
update you on,
Should look to see if you won or lost.
Rich.
I think you lost. Duke won or lost.
I didn't know that. I thought, it says it was, it's not per bench.